Hey, Coach. A couple of different things have changed since you guys last played the Celtics. Last time you didn't have Jalen. This time you don't have Clint. They didn't have Porzingis last time. They do this time. Just curious how matchups are going to look a little different this time around.
Well, you've said it right there. I think as much as, player to player, teams, I think it has more to do with they're going to play a similar way. We're going to play a similar way. There's always adjustments that get made when certain players are out, but they're still going to shoot threes. They're still big. So I think there's some consistent things there that don't change. And I think for us, just competing and they put a lot of pressure on you to make quick decisions because of their length and their size. And you got to really defend the three-point line, which is, I think, easier said than done.
Yeah. And then how's DeJounte doing?
Yeah, but he's going to warm up, and then we'll make a decision on where he's at. Yeah. That's pretty consistent now, isn't it?
Yeah, but you just got to check. You got to ask.
No, I understand. I know you got to ask. Every now and then you may get it. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
What's this time of year like for you? Obviously, deadline tomorrow. Players gonna be hearing rumors and stuff. Do you just kind of tune it out? Do you talk to guys? Like, what's kind of your position and all?
Yeah, for one thing, I've consistently, made it clear that my focus is on coaching the team. And as far as the rumors, those things are kind of omnipresent, and some of them are far-fetched, but they're still rumors. And that's, I think, one of the reasons it behooves you not to respond to that stuff, because you can go down a rabbit hole with that anyway, and it just takes your focus away from where it should be, which is the team. And to the extent there's externalities that impact your group, whether it's injuries or a winning streak, a losing streak, those things are kind of always there. They're wrapped a little differently, and as you mentioned, this time of year, there's more than other points in the year. But these things, they go on in different varieties and different ways and different levels throughout the season. You guys become accustomed to it on some level.
What kind of stands out about the Celtics team? Obviously, you saw them in that first game, but the Kristaps addition, the Jrue addition, just how they're different this year.
Well, I think you named two really good players. I've known Jrue since he was 19 in Philly, and it's been fun to see his evolution as a player and consistently wherever he's been. He's been a great teammate. He's defended. He's super efficient. Offensively, and I think he makes every team he's on better. Kristaps obviously is really unique. The fit that those guys have with their group. You can see what it's done for them, how efficient they are, and how good they are. So it's a credit to to Brad, to Joe, to their players that they've got a really, really good team. I'm not saying anything you guys don't know.
You guys have played a really good series here last year, pushing the 6. I guess the thought was you guys would kind of take a step forward. Are you guys closing in on a breakthrough? Do you see improvement?
The team that we had here, if you look at our roster, is very different than the team we have right now, particularly when DeAndre was hurt. So last year we were coming off the bench with Jalen and Sadiq in the playoffs. Right now those two guys are starting. We're a team that's a work in progress. That's not to diminish our group in any way. I think that's true of a lot of teams. But we look the same, and we are different. So we'll continue to work and try to grow and get better. Particularly this time of the year. This is always a unique time of the year, right? Because the season can look differently for a lot of different teams, and teams get tired, and there's all kinds of emotional components that go into it when you're in guess, we're out of January. Those are the dog days, so to speak. But my thing has been whatever period of the season we're in, whatever the schedule looks like, whatever injuries in the roster looks like. If we can just keep trying to get better over time, that's the best way to approach all that.
Coach, last time we saw this team, I believe it was 16 turnovers that the Hawks had against the Celtics, but
You
Jalen
remember
had,
that, huh?
Well,
Okay.
Joe just said it in his press conference.
Joe remembers how many times.
But we had just lost Jalen the game before, so
Yeah.
is there an expectation that those turnovers should decrease? Has there been talk about that?
Yeah, the turnovers are funny. You obviously it's never something you want. I think all turnovers are not created equal. There's some of the live ball turnovers that end up being baskets. Our turnovers against them last time turned into a lot of transition threes as well, and that's something that obviously you can't have if you're going to have success. So at the same time, you can't try not to make mistakes. That's not the way that you win a game either. So finding those high percentage plays. I think a big thing, you have to shoot the ball. A lot of times you pass up a shot and what happens next it isn't as high percentage of play, and particularly when you're driving into length and size, the court gets smaller, and that's harder. So as I said, I think that one of the keys for us is to make quick decisions, whether that means shooting the ball, passing it quickly, the ball stops, or driving. When the ball stops, the probability that something bad's going to happen becomes much greater.
Coach, you increased the number of catch and shoot for Trae Young you multiplied by 2 the number of catch and shoot for Trae Young. You increased the number of times he's assisted on the bucket. Are you satisfied with his off-ball usage, or you think you can even go higher on that?
I think Trae's done an excellent job of, the variety within his game. It's funny because I've talked about it. Trae and I have talked about it. Trae's actually pretty good with the ball. So there's a point there when, I'd like to see him, the balance of running off some screens, spacing in transition, and I think he's really doing those things. But I think you also, have to be careful when you have such an elite pick and roll player. You have to have the ball to play pick and roll. So, you want to find a balance, and I think particularly in certain matchup situations at certain times in the game, a lot of those catch and shoot plays for him are coming when he's running in transition. If Jalen or DeJounte are pushing the ball, him knowing that he can space, and a lot of them are when he gets off the ball in a situation and re-spacing. So those are things that that he's worked hard on and that we're aware of. And I didn't know the exact numbers, but I'm glad to hear it. I think that balance in his game can make him more effective in those other areas. But there's a wheelhouse there, I think.
Thanks.
Okay. Yep.